Topic of this session is hiring the new employee. Outcome of the selection effort is identify suitable candidate to fill the job vacancy. As you know, as a result of selection effort, we identify suitable, appropriate candidate to fill the job vacancy. However, then there is a question: how organization and candidates are linked together, because organization and candidates are two separate entities. Then organization identify candidate, but candidates are living in the society. Then how to link both two parties? The way is signing a bond, legal bond, through hiring process. Then hiring process is important to both sides being organization as well as candidate. Therefore, today I'm going to talk about hiring employee because this is important for you. Your special area is food technology, foods and food technology. However, as a worker in future or as a businessman in future, you have idea, you have to get idea about how to hire an employee. Then these are the learning outcomes. Understand the term of hiring, understand the process of hiring, understand the term of probation period. Then hiring is process of appointing candidate selected to the post or job which is vacant. It is very clear. Hiring is process. Through the process, company try to appointing candidate, selected candidate to the job vacancy. Job vacancy. Outcome of the hiring process is that candidate and organization come to the legal agreement. Legal agreement. Then company say you are our employee. You are now our employee. Then the candidate say I am also one of your employee. Then there are two parties, candidate and organization, come to the legal agreement regarding the employment. That is the outcome of hiring process. Then we will see process of hiring. Then you can get idea what are the important things included in the hiring process. At the first step, preparing an appointment letter. We have to preparing appointment letter. Appointment letter is the legal document or document we use to show you are an employee from the organization side. Then candidate can say I like to be an employee in your company, showing the appointment letter. Therefore, appointment letter is very important. Then appointment letter contain the terms and condition of the employment. Terms and the condition of the employment. Then it is very clear. Appointment explain terms and condition of the employment. Usually, the letter of appointment is issued to the successful job applicant in order to assure his or her about the job. Then appointment letter is usually issued the successful job applicant or candidate. Successful job applicants or the candidates. Then first step of hiring process is preparing an appointment letter. Then these are the things included in appointment letter. Job title, your job title. What is your appointment date? What is your appointment date? What are the tasks and duties you have to do? And special terms and conditions. Special terms and conditions. This depend on the nature of the company and the nature of the job. Usually we are explaining salary or wage through the appointment letter. Then what are the incentives you can enjoy? Then what is the probation period you have to complete? Then I will explain what is the meaning of probation period. Then your working hours, hours of work. Then what are the leave entitled to you as an employee? What are the leave you can enjoy? You can use to enjoy. Then retirement age. This is also important. Then these are the normal things included in appointment letters. Then I will show a sample regarding to explain these points. These are the content of the appointment letter. Then after preparing appointment letter, then we have to send the appointment letter to the selected candidate. Then the second step is notification to appointees. Then we inform you are selected to this position for the appointee. Then second step, notification to appointee. Then formal action of informing the appointment to the selected candidate through appropriate method is done under the step 2. Then we are informing you are selected through appropriate method. Most of the time we use registered post in our context. By nowadays, email also very popular for the purpose of green HRM, green environments, or easiness or quickness. We use email rather than the registered post. Then using email or registered post, we have to informing you are selected. This is your appointment letter under the step 2. Then step 3, follow up. Then follow up means after we send to the letter, then there is no assurance whether the candidate accept the appointment letter or not. Sometimes candidate can reject the appointment because when he or she reading the terms and condition, sometimes candidate is not like to follow the terms and condition offered by the company. Therefore, he or she can reject the appointment letter. Therefore, we need to follow up. Then follow up means attempt to ensure whether the appointees accept the job offer or reject. Accept the job offer or reject the job offer. Then we need to know whether you accept our job offer or reject our job offer. If appointee accept the job offer, then we have to follow the step 5. If appointee reject the job offer, then we have to do the step 4. Then step 4, then when candidate reject the offer, therefore we have to select another person. If appointee reject the job offer, then manager, usually HR manager, select the suitable candidate from the waiting list if possible. If possible means if there are more than required number of vacancies, more qualified candidate than the required vacancies, then we can go to the below evaluation values obtained by the candidates. Therefore, we can use waiting list if appointee reject the job offer. Then step 5, entering into the contract of the employment. This is the legal contract between appointee and the organization. Then contract enter into the contract mean, then after reading the terms and condition by the candidate, then he or she put the signature in the appropriate place. I agree these term and condition. After putting the signature and sent to the organization, then there is a legal bond between organization and the candidate. Then candidate becomes as a employee. Then organization accept candidate as a employee. Entering, accepting and signing by the appointee to the appointment letter mean that appointee become an employee of the company. Then here I use two samples to. Okay, this is the first example. Letter of appointment, the company name. Then just one date, the name of the name of the appointee or candidate, and his or her address. Then dear candidate name, appointee name. Then appointed as, what is the designation? Then say here, starting paragraph, we refer to your recent interview for the above position and are pleased to advise that we are offering you the position with our company effect from date under the following terms and conditions. The important thing is terms and conditions. Then listed under this paragraph, the terms and conditions. What are the terms and conditions of this appointment is? Appointment are salary. Then explain the salary. Your per month salary is this amount. Then probation period. What is the probation period? The duration of probation period. And if there is any special requirement, candidate or the appointee has to be complete within that duration mentioned here. The working hours. Then leave of absence. Then paid annual leave. The annual leave will be as follows. Employed for 1 to 3 years, how many days? Employed for 4 to 5 years, how many days? Employed for more than 5 years, how many days? Then maximum leave will be fixed at amount of days. No leave will be granted immediately before after public holidays. This is a company policy or condition. Then marriage leave. Compassionate leave. Permanent employee are entitled to 3 days. Death of spouse, child or parent. Then 1 day death of parent-in-law, brother, sister or grandparent. Then bonus. Period of notice for termination of employment. Then registration, terminations. Then likewise mention the terms and condition. Then finally say, if you are agreeable to the above terms and condition of the appointment, kindly confirm your acceptance by signing and returning the duplicate copy of this letter for our file, and records. Yours sincerely, Human Resource Manager. Here the signature. Then this is the important part for the appointee. I agree to the appointment and accept the above terms and condition of service. Then signature of the appointee, name of the appointee, and date of the appointee. Put the signature or accepted the letter. This is the first example for appointment letter. Then we will see the second example. Then second example, here as a normal letter, start as a normal letter, date, month and year, then candidate name and the address, subject appointment for the post of here, put the designation, then Mr. candidate name or appointee name. We are pleased to offer you the position of designation here, put scientist with company ABC of the following terms and condition. Again, explain the terms and condition. Then starting day of the employment, commencement of employment. Your employment will be effect as starting date, month and year. Then second one, job title. Then salary, place of posting. Where is the place you have to work? If company has different branches, locations, then where is the place you have to work? Then hours of work. Then leave policy, leave conditions. You are entitled to casual leave of these days. You are entitled to sick leave, working days of paid sick leave. Likewise, nature of duties, your duty, company property, how to maintain the company property. Then termination. Likewise, explain the terms and condition. Then acceptability of company policy, governing law, acceptance of our offer. This is important. Please confirm your acceptance of this contract of employment by signing and returning the duplicate copy. We welcome you and look forward to receiving your acceptance and to working with you. Yours sincerely, name of the supervisor or human resource manager, designation, and the date. Then here, schedule 1, in addition to above terms and condition, here explain compensation details, basic salary, medical allowance, performance incentives, stock option when company offer car and fuel allowances, telephone bill or telephone facilities, likewise. Then schedule 2, again explain employee duties and responsibilities. What are the duties you have to do during your work? What are the responsibility you have or incorporate with the job? Then second appointment letter example, explain additional information than the first example. Okay, that is the appointment letter. Appointment letter is important because appointment letter is the only and significant document to show I am employing this company. And in other way, employee can say you are our employee, showing the appointment letter. Then probation period. What is the meaning of probation period? The probation period is a certain period of time we are giving to a new employee. We are giving to a new employee. We are giving to a new employee who is hired for the permanent post, work for an organization to show his or her suitability to the post. Then through the selection process, we try to find the best applicant, but it is not sure. The methods are not validity or reliability. It is difficult to say. Then through the selection process, sometimes the candidate may be a wrong one through the selection as results of selection process. Therefore, we are giving a certain period, certain period to show the appropriateness of employee to the post. That is probation period. In singular term, parivasa kalaya. Parivasa kalaya. Then through the probation period or the parivasa kalaya, or company management try to identify whether this guy is okay or not to the post and the organization. Then duration of the probation period is depend on the job and the organization. Then for the example, when we are hiring semi-skilled labor or unskilled labor, probation period may be 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. Or there is no more big terms and conditions. But if we are hiring a executive worker or above the executive worker, usually company offers 6-month probation period or 1-year probation period. In the government service, all the workers has 3 years probation period. For the example, when we are recruiting a probationary lecturer has 3 years probation period. Then here say special terms and condition can be given by the company to complete the probation period. During the probation period, worker has to complete certain requirement. For example, as a lecturer probationary within 3 years, he or she has to complete master or PhD degree plus teaching methodology course. Then within 3 years, if they are unable to complete these requirement, then university offer another additional time up to 8 years. After 8 years, whether the employee, the lecturer probationary hasn't show or the complete these 2 courses, then he or she has to say goodbye for the university. That is the special terms and condition incorporated in the probation period. Okay, for your better understanding, I have another video.
In this video, I want to take a look at something that comes up very, very frequently in my experience, and that is employees on probation. And being dismissed or terminated on probation. So in this video, I want to just take a look at probation generally. Probation generally is a term at the commencement of your employment where your suitability for the job is going to be assessed. So the employer is going to assess the new employee's suitability for the job.
Then probation period basically used to identify whether you are appropriate for the job or not.
May or may not fit into the general ethos of the organization. They may or may not be generally good and right for the organization. That's what it's for. That's what the probation period is for, to assess suitability. Typically, an employment contract will have a clause in it which will say, subject to the successful completion of your probation period, you will be employed as a whatever. Now, the probation period may be 3 months, it may be 6 months. It may also be extended up to or extendable up to 11 or 12 months. So during that period of time, this is a period of assessing for suitability for the employee or of the employee for the job.
Then probation period usually depend on the nature of the organization and the job. It may be 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. Then employer or the management of the company has the power to extend the probation period looking the employee performance or behavior. Whether employee performance or the behavior is not up to the standard, then company can decide, yes, we are extending your probation period.
During the probation period, there should be 1 or 2 reviews at least. In other words, there should be some feedback given to the employee as to how he or she is getting on. An important thing to consider as well, or to understand about the probation period, is that the full panoply of the disciplinary procedure is unlikely to be available or to be applied. It's also the case that other policies, such as the dignity at work policy and the grievance policy or procedure, will not be applied in full. In other words, there may be an abbreviated or truncated version of these policies for somebody on probation, but because you're on probation, you may not necessarily get the full benefit of the normal disciplinary procedure, which may apply after you have successfully completed. You need to be aware of that, because a lot of employees contact me and say they didn't tell me what I did wrong, they didn't give me the right to appeal, they didn't bring me through the disciplinary procedure. Most employees on probation, most companies on probation will not, and will make it clear in the contract that they will not be brought through the full disciplinary procedure during the probationary period. So be careful about that, and you need to understand that. The other thing is that you may have a contract of employment with, say, a month's notice in it. That's in the ordinary course of events, and that's after you've completed your probation. Generally, during probation, you'll find that the clause in the contract will make provision for termination of the employment with 1 week's notice during the probation period. So be careful and understand that.
Okay, then what is the right? Who is the party have the right to terminate the employment contract during the probation period? Usually it rests on the company. Then company has the power to terminate the employee service considering the probation performance of and behavior during the probation period. That is the right.
The options for employees on probation, because the probation period doesn't last 12 months, and because the probation period doesn't exceed 12 months, and therefore the employee on probation who is dismissed or terminated after 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or indeed 11 months will not have the necessary 12-month service to obtain the benefit of the Unfair Dismissals Act 1977. That being the case, there are very limited options open to an employee who has been dismissed whilst on probation. Two such options, however, would be: one, if the grounds for termination during probation was one of the discriminatory grounds, and there's 9 grounds of discrimination. If one of those grounds was, or if the termination was founded on one of those discriminatory grounds, then the employee could bring a claim, because under the employment equality legislation, the discrimination-based legislation, you do not require 12-month service. Another avenue may be under the Protection of Whistleblowers Act of 2000, or Protection of Protected Disclosures Act of 2014. Again, if you're penalised or dismissed for having made a protected disclosure, you don't require or need the full 12 months service. There's no service requirement. Therefore, you could bring a claim if you were fired on probation for having made a protected disclosure. It could be a difficult case to win, though, if you are unable to prove that the reason for your dismissal was the protected disclosure. So, in summary, if you're on probation, it is a period of suitability. The normal full range of procedures and policies will not necessarily apply to you during probation, and you are, quite frankly, in a weak enough position when you're on probation. So the options open to you if you've been dismissed are limited enough. I've made another couple of videos, one at least, about the options, I believe, open to an employee who has been terminated on probation. You might want to check out that video as well, and there's information on my website, employmentrightsireland.com. I hope you find this